looking around at this firing range. This reminds me more, sorry if it's windy, hopefully the wind cut thing on the camera will make me audible. Oh, I can hear the wind in my ears. Yeah, I'm on the firing range, obviously. It just makes me have a little bit of a weighing feeling on my stomach, like not adrenaline, but what do you call it? Words are failing me today. I kind of, when you get that tense feeling on your stomach that comes with worry and it's sick feel. Anyway, I get that from being on the firing ranges. Like disturbed, sick feeling that we're living in this time where, you know, this should be ours. I don't mean that in any communistic sense. I mean, this firing range should belong to we, the public, and not to the military, not to the police, not to the government. It should be ours. We should be using this. And it should see a lot more use, because it'd be seeing use from the public. Like, there's a lot of places like this in America that get use by the public all the time. This is used by the people who suppressed the public and told them that they were not allowed to own the things, while the government were allowed to own the things, if you get my drift. This makes me a little bit sad, because it's like, I know we've been born into this. People of my generation who are libertarian or anarchist, we've been born into this mess, where we've just found out what the government is like. What it's been doing this entire time, and we're in no place to just suddenly fix it. Like, I'm not going to say we can't do anything about it. We can do things about it. We can do building blocks though. Like the fix that we want done won't happen in our lifetimes. If you're sort of my age, plus or minus 10 years, like, we're not the ones who are going to be in a position to change it, which sucks for an individualist. It's like, yeah, okay, you could have children and they might see this closer to the start of some change if they try what we're trying, but harder and more Spartan. And it's going to be rough. And are they going to be able to do it? Because the further back in time you get, the braver people were. The further future you get, the more cucked and enslaved we are. So are the kids we have going to be able to have that rough Spartanness in them, to reject comfort for several years and put their lives in danger, and, you know, try and think clearly and try and get these assholes out of power and as far away from the possibility of power as possible. That's the task for, I guess if I was more humanist, or if I had kids, I'd be thinking more in that way. So if I get kids, well, my first priority for getting kids is to raise them far away from all this shit if I can. And that obviously depends on my girlfriend or wife at the time, whether they are thinking the same thing as me. You know, we should both get our kid as far away from government influence as we can. And then we can teach them about this stuff, including, you're going to have to do some rough things in your lifetime that you're probably not familiar with, you're not ready to do, and we haven't been able to do ourselves, that we should have done in 2021. And we need to, I don't know, how do you raise a kid to be more righteous and aggressive, well, not more righteous, about the same level of righteousness, you know, morally right, should I say, just. And you can raise a kid to be as morally right and just as you are, but how do you raise a kid to be more aggressive and warlike than you are? That's the goal. And so you have to, while you're a parent, you have to hang out with like hunters and gun people and people who got close and people who are rougher than you are, and then try and translate that to your kid. I guess you got to get part of it instilled in yourself, and that takes being in the right place. So hard, so difficult, and to even get to that stage, you know, How long will it take us? It is a moonshot. It's definitely a moonshot to remove government. Whatever NASA learnt to get to the moon with its physicists and rocket guys, putting aside all that shit about what NASA probably really is that we all know about now and its links to certain things. Yeah, whatever NASA did to get to the moon those first few times, that's the level of work that the children of libertarians and anarchists will need to put in to further our cause and, you know, get freedom reinstalled in the world. How do we do that? Maybe it takes more than one generation thinking similar things. We need to lay a lot of groundwork, don't we? And when I think of homeschool your kids, you know, the term homeschool your kids, basically don't let your kid near the fucking school system because they're all commies, which they are. But when I think of homeschool your kids, I'm thinking obviously less in the conservative fashion because they're statists too. But teaching kids knowledge, useful, practical, functional knowledge, rather than adhering to a curriculum set out by governments or law. Like, I don't want that. I don't want to go, oh, I'm not going to send my kid to school, I'm going to homeschool my kid, and then what that means is like some government or council or education authority sends you papers and learning materials that you need to adhere to. It's like, no, the parent or a group of parents decides what are the actual functional things that their kid needs to learn and then teaches their kid how to do those things. So there are no fucking GCSEs. I mean, there'll be literacy and numeracy. There'll be numeracy where it's useful. So there won't be trigonometry except for people who can use stuff like trigonometry. Because in everyday life, most people will never use shit like trigonometry or algebra or whatever. But that's obviously, that'll be available to people to teach their kids if they think it's going to be of use to them, depending on what their job will be. So the knowledge will need to be preserved to teach kids things, but it won't come from the top. And it's up to the parent what they decide to teach their kids. The parent is the one who teaches their kids, and the parent, you know, they could recruit, not recruit, but pay for a business with good reviews, capitalistically, or a set of tutors with good repute that they know of, having, you know, a good reputation. They can pay them to teach their kids, or they can, you know, band together with other parents and then might know someone who's someone who can teach a certain subject really well, just because they're a person who knows about the subject, not because they're necessarily a teacher. Bring that person round from the neighbourhood to teach their kids, probably because they know them and are friends with them, and they know what the person's been told by the parents what the boundaries are, what they are allowed to tell the kids and what they aren't. You know, you talk about the subject, you don't stray into other territories, like how to think about certain politics or whatever, how to behave and all that. That's more of what I think of when I talk about homeschooling. I don't know if there's currently a very set and solid and restricted thing that some people are calling homeschooling, but certainly you don't want to get into the territory of accepting an academic authority, rules by government, to be the one that in the end is teaching your kid. Don't do that. Teach them how to grow tomatoes and peppers and food. Teach them via showing them experience. Like, we're gonna spend this is the class where we grow food in our garden. First you will need some land, then you will need a polytunnel sort of thing. You'll need to know what a bee is and what it does. You will need to know how to fucking be patient and keep coming back and take care of the plant and water it, and know how much is too much, and know about nitrogen and nutrients and things that the plant will need for it to become big. I don't know if we do grades like A to C grades, A grade for the biggest tomato grown or whatever. Maybe dispense with the grades or something, because it's like saying one person is more of an authority than another person. Like you're doing a government thing where you're putting one kid on a rung above another kid, like you're better than them because you did this. I mean, it is a skill thing, but I think meritocracy does have weaknesses. And I'm not trying to do an equality thing, like everyone should have the same grade no matter what they do and not be awarded for skill. I think they should be encouraged for skill. I don't think it should be like a grading system. It should be something else. And there shouldn't be like a barrier to entry, like if you're doing bad at growing the tomatoes then you're not allowed to do this, this and this. It shouldn't be like that either. Like it shouldn't be like a, I don't know, but yeah, you gotta work these things out. I don't know what the punishment or reward, or if there should be such a thing, what that system would be like. And meritocracy, some parts of that are good, other parts of it are bad. You do need to get people skilled, encourage them for having skill, but you get into the territory of like invisible disabilities and stuff, you know, what people are capable of with their body and their situation, what kind of work they're capable of doing. And you could say the phrase is the taking part that counts, or you can say that there is some validity to that, like that is good and bad in different ways. It's bad in the way that it's the commie thing where it's like just taking part and not winning the game is good, but in other ways it's like you've got to take into account discouragement of children and stress, or even of adults. Anxiety is a big one, fear, how things like adrenaline that you can't see impact a kid or a person in what they're doing and make them do a worse job. Or even like things like being observed and analysed and spied on. Like when someone watches you or scrutinizes you while you're trying to do a task, you do that task worse, and it's because of them, their eyes on you. That kind of natural, weird, organic human fear that comes with being observed. And you make mistakes and people think, oh, I'm watching you to make sure you do a good job, and you've made mistakes, you're terrible at this job, when actually them watching you is the thing that's making the mistakes. And if they'd not watch you, then you'd suddenly be doing 100 times better. I don't think people know the power of that, like looks and gazes and being looked at, how that is and how it disturbs the mind of another person. I guess that was a video about how AnCaps and Libertarians, voluntarists and such could be raising their children so that in future maybe their children can have what we are unable to get. Maybe they can get closer than we did at injecting freedom into the world, although there's a lot of things we can try and do now. Catch you all later, folks.